After World Health Organization's advisory on non-sugar sweeteners, the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India has also gone into action mode. The WHO, if you remember, in its advisory had discouraged the use of non-sugar sweeteners or artificial sweeteners for weight management and reduction of non-communicable diseases or lifestyle diseases. The review also raised concerns about the potential adverse effects from prolonged NSS, that's non-sugar sweetener consumption, including an increased risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular diseases and mortality in adults. Now, the Indian food regulator is set to form a committee on the WHO report. The FSSAI is also working on the proposal for front-of-pack labeling on all packaged foods for salt, sugar and fat content. But would such guidelines dent the sales of products? Or is it really the need of the hour is what we're talking about, especially at a time when a lot of people go for such products which say they're sugar-free, but they taste sweet because they have non-sugar sweeteners in them. Is that really healthy? Do we need that kind of labeling to warn us about it? But before we go into that discussion, here's a short report.
The food regulator FSSAI has taken the cognizance of the guidelines released by WHO about the non-sugar sweeteners. Now the technical committee of FSSAI is evaluating, it is assessing the guidelines that was released by WHO last week about the non-sugar sweeteners. And once the detailed suggestions or the feedback is submitted by this technical committee, CEO FSSAI has mentioned that a stakeholder consultation will take place, and it is very likely that post the stakeholder consultation, after a detailed exercise is carried out, it is very likely that a new guideline will be released by the FSSAI, the food regulator, regarding these non-sugar sweeteners. We all know that the WHO has released the guidelines and has specifically mentioned that these non-sugar sweeteners, like aspartame or stevia, they do not help in weight loss, and even it can increase the risk of type 2 diabetes and also cardiovascular diseases. And once these reports or the guidelines, it is there in public domain, now here in India as well, the departments, they have taken it on a serious note, and a detailed technical committee or an evaluation is being carried out, and post the evaluation by the technical committee, a stakeholder consultation is likely to take place very soon.
All right, I'm joined now by Dr. Rajiv Koval, a diabetologist and chairperson in Zandra Healthcare. I'm also going to be speaking this evening with R.S. Sodhi, president of the Indian Dairy Association and, of course, ex-MD of Amul. Welcome to both of you, and thank you so much for speaking with us. Now, there are two perspectives to these developments. One is the health perspective, and one is from the point of view of the food companies. And what this labeling means for it, for them. So I'm going to start with a health perspective and go to Dr. Kohli. The idea so far has been that anything which says it's sugar-free, or if you're using non-sweetened sugar, diet sodas, etc., is good for you. The WHO advisory turns everything on its head, doesn't it?
So the medical and the public health perspectives are intermingled here, one. Two, yes, so WHO advisory comes on the background of a very scientifically done systematic review, where it suggests that the use of these non-sugar sweeteners, we all know they do not have any nutritive value. People consume them to make sure that they do not gain weight, and probably because weight is the mother of all diseases, whether it's diabetes or cardiovascular disease. So from a medical perspective, by not gaining weight, you can prevent these problems. And two, also cosmetically, that you may not gain weight. So the whole perspective or the hypothesis that you could use non-sugar sweeteners to prevent cardiovascular or obesity or diabetes in future has been completely smashed by the WHO, number one. Two, from a public health perspective, it's very important that we become very health literate, because label reading by itself is a very complex mechanism. And the blue dot, the green dot and the red dot, which signifies vegetarian and non-vegetarian food, is a very simple way of finding out. But food labeling, because a lot of food labels are quite misleading, like no added sugars and so many things which are there in processed foods, also in beverages. So that food labeling by itself is something that will make the
May
whole
I ask Dr.
country
Kohli a very simple question? Because sometimes a lot of this gets lost in the technicality. If I want to have a cup of coffee, should I put a spoonful of sugar or should I put an alternative like sugar free? What is healthier for me in terms
so
of calorie intake and impact
it,
on my body?
so the WHO clearly states that we have to reduce the amount of sugary foods in our meals. That is their baseline statement. And if you're using an artificial sweetener or non-sugar sweetener to reduce calories to not have an impact on your health, it doesn't make any difference, is what they are saying. On the contrary, the usage of non-sugar sweeteners in the longer run could actually lead to cardiovascular issues. So actually, it's a deterrent. You should not be using it.
Sweetened tea or
Either
coffee?
one gets used to
No, so
having beverages without sugar.
okay, either I go sugar free, as in no sugar at all, or if I actually want to have sugar, I might as well use good old sugar.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's very important, and that's going to change the way food companies market their products.
Absolutely.
It is a space which is growing exponentially. Let me come to Mr. Sodhi on this part of the story. It's the fastest growing space, isn't it? You stick a diet sticker on something, people are going to buy it, they're going to pay a premium for it, but it's not good for them. We now know.
Yeah, thank you, Tamanna ji. I have heard Dr. Rajiv and very good points he has raised. I'm not an expert in food regulation or in the medical, but of my last 41 years career in the food industry, let me tell you why consumer buy food. Basically, besides the taste, consumer is buying and eating food basically for nutrition and immunity. Okay, but we all know now that food is the main cause of all the diseases, either more of something or less of something. Now coming to NSS or non-sugar sweetener, basically it serves two purposes, two types of customer. One is diabetic customers. When do they want to have sweet ice cream, sweet chocolate, or any sweetness? And naturally they add some NSS, and that is the thing. But other segment, which is not diabetic, not having any problem, and they are, I mean, going for this NSS product, thinking that is healthy. I think, please let us understand why food companies have gone for this type of thing. Let me tell you, day by day, organized or branded food market is becoming very competitive and also saturated. So more of food companies to create or to launch or to give a differentiated product, they come out with their claims in what way their food or ingredients are better. What happens once they claim that this product has got 0 calorie or no calorie or low calorie, whatever, they do not tell what are the ill effects of that. Because what we all know, anything synthetic, anything artificial, or anything added in the pure food can match the pure food ingredients. And let me tell you, the body needs all food. You need carbohydrates, you need protein, you need fat, you need vitamins, you need minerals. Everything under moderation. Overdoing is something will damage the body. So that is what is
This is
there.
not a question of moderation and overdoing. This is a question of misleading. This is a question of telling people something that is not true. People are buying it because they think they're going to lose weight. It's okay. You know, basically, people who don't want to give up the taste of sweetness in their mouth think that this is a shortcut option. But that's
See,
not
right
true.
right now also under FSSAI food regulation, you can't claim anything which is not there in your product. It can be challenged. It's good that WHO has come. But right now also, if you say that I'm doing a drink with this, your height will be increased, or with this, your skin will become this, or your eye, it is wrong claim. Unless you get clinical at the ground level evidences, it is wrong, and I fully endorse it. Now WHO has come, And if FSSAI also takes note of this, that this area was not properly looked by the regulators. And I think uh, we all in food industry are basically for the benefit of Indian food industry. So we have to see what is good. And you see,
What do you see
natural,
as the
super.
impact if very clear labels are put up? What do you see as the business impact for the sector?
Definitely now consumer reads. They have got time, especially when they buy online, and they very well read, especially if it is mentioned on the front panel. So, no, besides mentioning, you see, it shouldn't be allowed that with this weight will be less, whether through promotion or through advertising or through labeling. Such type of claims should not be allowed. Then you come on the ingredients thing. Even if you are not claiming and you are adding any ingredient which is not good, it is better to mention it on the, like we mention in case of tobacco products.
So, that's important. RS Sodhi is saying you should mention it like you mention it on the face of tobacco products. Dr. Rajiv Koval, do you think this is going to be a game changer if the packaging and labeling says this? Where instead of telling people that this is good for you, you're warning them. You're saying go ahead and
In people, because people do not put their mind into, and they do not do mindful picking up of the products, whether it's packaged or beverages. This will put a lot more concern into them. They will start reading labels, and such misleading ads and misleading communication and marketing gimmicks would go off, and people would become more health literate. And that is what, where the nutritional quality of food would improve, and people would then make the right choices for the food. So I think it's good for the country, it's good for everyone that they know. So even after all the advisories, if as in the tobacco, if people want to consume it, it's fine with them. It's a democratic society. But whatever is there in the scientific domain needs to be told to the public at large in the language they comprehend.
Dr. Koval, what is your advice to people who want to lose weight, but also don't want to miss out on everything in life, and who are scared that they'll get diabetes? Is there any way other than just cutting out sugar completely from your life?
So no. So your overall, you need to make a 500 calorie deficit. By losing weight doesn't mean you go down on the nutritive value of food. So a 500 calorie deficit in your food, accompanied by a good exercise regime, should be more than sufficient for a person to lose weight. Even if he ends up eating a carbohydrate, you have a lot of exchange systems where you can exchange one food with the other, and make sure that your overall total consumption of the day continues to remain the same. And that's what scientifically one does. And the all the fad diets only give you weight loss for a shorter period of time to probably look good in some photograph or some wedding. But other than that, chronic weight loss over a period of time is a more scientific thing to do, and one would not expect more than 0.5 kilogram to be lost in a week. So it's a long-term process. You have to put in a lot more efforts, and management of weight loss would also be a complete game changer in the few years, because weight seems to be the mother. And today, in the next few years, we are going to have a lot more medicines which are very scientifically planned to treat weight. So in future, you would also have nutritional lifestyle and also pharmacotherapy addressed at losing weight for patients who are at very high risk for developing weight-related non-communicable disorders.
Absolutely. Mr. Sodhi, your take on what the responsibility here is for food companies to ensure that the products they put out are healthy. This has become a big, big issue globally. In India, it's still a conversation in some circles. There's some part of the consumer base which wants to look for organic, pure products, etc., etc. Do you think that that is growing, and people are going to be very, very clear about the food they buy?
Definitely, now consumers' expectations about the food are increasing. Whether you talk organic or natural or pure or even fresh, And because of exposure to the internet and other lot of things, especially the today's consumer, he does a lot of research. What new food I am going to buy, whether it's good for my body or not. But sometimes what happens is very aggressive communication spend takes over the other communication methods. And that is especially the main cause for development of such, I'm not saying unhealthy, but the food which will not meet the type of claims they are claiming. I'm not saying they are unhealthy, they may be not bad also, but I'm not an expert. But I can tell you, need is there that as a food company, we have to take responsibility of the health of our consumers, not only about our P&L or our bottom line.
I hope more and more companies understand that, because consumer awareness is definitely growing, and after this, there will be a change. FSSAI, remember, has a responsibility to make sure Indians are eating clean food and they're getting what they are promised. So the next time you see some product, just because it says healthy and sugar-free, check on the back on what's actually in it. Thank you so much, Dr. Koval and RSOD, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a very obviously